Namaste everybody, thank you for joining me in this Vinyasa Flow. Today we will be working with rooting down with certain parts of the body, or this sense of creating stability in order that we can lift up and find expansion with other parts of the body. We will be working mostly with hips and hamstrings, and if at any point you want to come into a child's pose, then you are more than welcome to do so and just join in with us whenever you feel ready again. So we'll start in a Shavasana, so coming down onto the mat, allowing the feet to come as wide as the mat and the backs of the hands resting on the ground, and just closing down the eyes for a few moments, allowing yourself to tune into your body, to arrive fully into your practice. Just scanning through to see if there's any areas of tension or tightness, any areas that feel relaxed and soft. Just becoming aware of your physical reality right now. How do you feel? Noticing also the quality of the mind and the emotional body. Checking in with how you're feeling there today as well. And taking the attention to the breath. Becoming aware of its gentle flow in and out of the body and the sensations that this creates. We'll take 3 conscious, mindful breaths together. So inhale, drawing the breath deep into the abdomen, filling up the lungs, finding expansion, lifting of the collarbones. Taking the breath into the throat, and then exhaling completely, either through the nostrils or the mouth. Inhale deeply into the belly, filling up the lungs, filling up the throat, and exhale it out. Feeling the slight pull of the navel in towards the spine at the end of the exhale. One more time, deeply inhale. And exhale, releasing it all out. With the next inhale, taking the arms up overhead and taking a full body stretch, pointing out through fingertips and toes, maybe bending the upper body from side to side, having a little wriggle, and then exhale, releasing. Taking the knees in towards the chest and wrapping the arms around the shins. Give yourself a nice big squeeze. Contract everything. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And exhale, release the soles of the feet down to the ground, about hip distance. Palms can rest next to the feet, down onto the ground. We'll inhale, picking up the right foot and placing the ankle over the left knee. Pushing the right knee away from you and flexing the toes in towards the shins, making a figure 4 position. Reaching through that gap, taking a hold of either the left thigh or the left shin, and with the exhale drawing that left leg in towards the body. Pushing the right knee away, opening up the hip. Nice deep stretch into the glutes and the piriformis. Those deep external rotators. One more deep breath here. And exhale, release the left sole of the foot down to the ground. Inhale, take the right leg up to the sky, kicking out through the heel. We'll take a hold of wherever you can reach to, maybe thigh, calf, maybe ankle, maybe even big toe. And really ground down through that right hip and kick up with the heel, stretching the leg in both directions, flexing the toes towards the shin, and grounding that right shoulder blade down towards the ground. Option here to slide the left heel along the ground, flexing the toes towards the shins to get the leg flat on the floor. And this may adjust where you have the right leg. So making those little adjustments. And just taking that right leg from side to side, starting to wake up the hip joint. Inhale, taking it back centrally. Exhale, releasing the right sole of the foot down to the ground. Inhale, pick the left leg up, take the ankle on top of the right knee, flexing the toes towards the shin and pushing the left knee away from you. Reach through the gap, taking either hold of the thigh or the shin, and exhale, draw that right leg in towards the body, pushing the left knee away from you. Breathing deep into that left hip. Just noticing any differences between the two sides, acknowledging that our bodies aren't completely symmetrical. Exhale, release the right sole of the foot down to the ground. Inhale, take the left heel up to the sky. And take a hold of wherever you can on that left leg. Flexing the toes in towards the shin and rooting down through the left hip, lifting up through the heel, drawing that leg in towards the face. Option to slide that right heel down the ground, flexing the toes towards the shin. And again, we'll start to move that left leg from side to side, lubricating the hip joint, waking up the adductors and the glutes. Good. Inhale. Heel to sky one last time. Exhale, release that foot down, bringing both knees in towards the chest and taking a hold of the back of the thighs. Start to roll up and down the mat, giving your back a little massage. And then roll up to a seated position, taking the hands in front, rolling over the knees, making your way into tabletop position. Stacking wrists and elbows beneath the shoulders, spreading the fingers wide and taking the knees beneath the hips, lower legs parallel and belly slightly engaged to keep the spine straight. We'll come through a few cat-cows. So inhale, tilt the tailbone up, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the gaze. Exhale to round tailbone, sacrum, back, shoulders, looking in towards the navel. Inhale to tilt the tailbone, belly softens, look up to the sky, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale to round, pushing the floor away from you with your hands doming through the shoulders. Inhale, tilting tailbone up, dropping belly, chest moves through the upper arms. Exhale to round. And then inviting into the movements that feel natural and organic, maybe circling through the hips, maybe coming forwards over the wrists to stretch into the forearms, stretching into the side bodies, maybe moving the neck here as well. Tuning into the body, seeing where it wants to move. And then we'll meet back in a tabletop position. We'll tuck the toes under. And exhale, send the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Again, taking a few moments just to pedal out through the legs, bending into one knee and then the other, stretching into the toes, maybe moving your hips from side to side. Taking a few moments to settle in. And then find some stillness in downward facing dog. Rooting down through the thumb and the index fingers. Fingers spread wide. Pushing the floor away from you. Finding length in the back. Hips lifting up to the sky. Navel drawing into the spine. And gaze is between the back legs, or up towards the belly button. Heels start to root down towards the mat, finding length in the hamstrings. Inhale, walk the feet in towards the hands, coming into a forward fold, allowing the feet to be hip distance. The knees soft, just allowing the upper body to dangle. Maybe taking a hold of opposite elbows and taking a sway from side to side. Nodding yes and no a few times, loosening up the neck. Exhale, releasing the elbows if you have a hold. And inhale, slowly curling up to a standing position, allowing the head to be the last to arrive at the top, and rolling the shoulders up, back and down a few times when you arrive. Good. We'll find Tadasana at the front of the mat. Bringing the feet together, the heels can be slightly separated, and really taking a moment to find that stability in the feet, rooting down through all corners. And then lifting up from there. So lifting up the kneecaps, engaging the quads, engaging the lower abdomen and lifting the pelvic floor to find a neutral pelvis. Lower ribs in, core is engaged. Shoulder blades moving together and down the back. Arms are active all the way to the fingertips, palms shining forwards. We'll inhale, raise arms up to the sky. Gaze towards the thumbs. Exhale as you bow down, take your arms wide and reach behind you, interlacing the fingers and bringing the arms up and overhead. Keeping the knees soft here. We'll take a couple of breaths here because it feels good. Opening up the chest and the fronts of the shoulders. Maybe shifting the weight slightly onto the balls of the feet. Shaking out the head, releasing the tension there. Exhale, release the hands down to the ground, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, straighten the spine, find length in both sides of the body. Neck long. Exhale, plant the hands, step the right foot back, drop the knee. Inhale, raise the arms up to the sky. Taking a moment here to stabilize through the hips. So we're pulling the left thigh bone back into the hip socket and pushing the right hip forwards. So we have this idea of two forces coming into the center. Also hugging the thighs and the outer hips in towards each other. So we have two forces coming forward and back and inwards to create that sense of stability, to get that lift up out of the pelvic bowl. Exhale, bring the hands down to the mat, extend the front leg, shifting the weight onto the back knee. Inhale, curl the toes in towards the shin, lift the chest forwards. Exhale, allow your spine to curl, bringing the forehead towards the shin. Inhale, shift forwards into that front knee, come into low lunge, rise up, lift the chest. Exhale, hands down to the mat, extend the front leg. Inhale, curl the toes back, lift the chest, final length. Exhale, allow the body to curl down towards that shin. We'll move through a few more of these in your own time, your own breath. Inhaling into that low lunge, keeping the hips squaring. Exhale, hands down to the mat, extending the front leg. Inhale, curling the toes back, lifting the chest. Exhale, curling. Inhale, shifting weight forwards, rising up. Exhale, hands come down, front leg extends. Inhale, find length out of the pelvis as you lift the chest, curl the toes back. Exhale to round. Finding a nice stretch in the hamstring here. We'll come through one more. Inhale, lift up, stretching into the right hip flexor. Exhale, down. Extend the front leg. Inhale, lift the toes, lift the chest. Exhale, round. Inhale, shift forwards. And then move the left foot to the outside of the left hand, coming into lizard. So option here to drop down onto the forearms, if this is available to you, and keep the chest lifted. Also aiming here to keep the hips level. Stretching into that right hip flexor and the top of that left hamstring maybe. Take one more breath here. Inhale, come up onto your hands, tuck the back toes, lift the knee. Exhale, step into plank position, and we'll stay here for a couple of breaths. So shoulders, elbows and wrists should be stacked in one straight vertical line. Keeping the hands active and pressing evenly into the palms. Engaging the abdominals, lifting the pelvic floor. Engaging the quads, pulling up on the kneecaps. We'll come through the first version of our vinyasa. So exhale, bending the knees down to the mat, and then keeping the elbows in, lowering down to the ground. Inhale, push up into your cobra position, lifting the chest, lifting the gaze. Exhale, pushing back through tabletop, tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Taking a breath here. Inhale, lift the right leg up to the sky, kick out through the heel. Exhale, step that foot in between your hands. Option to keep the back knee lifted or dropped. Inhale, lift the gaze. Exhale, step into forward fold. Inhale, circle arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, bring your hands into prayer at your heart center. Onto the other side. Inhale, raise the arms, look to the sky. Exhale, this time we'll just bow down. Coming to Uttanasana. Hands rest on the ground or on the shins. Inhale, halfway lift. Shoulder blades moving down the back. Exhale, plant the hands, step the left foot back, drop the knee. Inhale, rise up, low lunge. Taking a moment again to find that stability in the hips. Taking the right hip back, left hip forwards, squeezing that left glute. And then squeezing thighs and the outer hips in towards one another. Everything moving into the midline. Exhale, take the hands down to the mat, extend the right leg. Inhale, lift the toes up, curl them back to the shin and lift the chest. Exhale, allow the body to curl, chin coming towards the chest. Inhale, shift the weight forwards onto the front leg. Lift up, lift the chest to the sky. Exhale, hands come down to the mat, extend the front leg. Inhale, curl the toes back, lift the chest. Exhale, round. Inhale, come onto the right foot, lift up. Keep squaring the hips. Exhale, hands come down. Right leg extends. Inhale, curl the toes back, lift the chest. Make sure you're not shifting your hips too much over to the left here. Move them back to the center. Exhale, curl. Inhale, come forwards into your low lunge one last time. Exhale, down into that runner stretch. Inhale, curling the toes back, lifting the chest, stretching that hamstring. Exhale, curl. Inhale, shift the weight into the front foot. And then move that right foot over to the outside of the right hand, coming into your lizard lunge here. And again, if it's available to you, just coming down onto the forearms, keeping the chest lifted. And aiming to keep those hips square and parallel to the floor. Breathing deeply into that left hip flexor. Right hip and hamstring. Take one more breath here. Inhale, come up onto the hands. Tuck the back toes, lift the knee. Exhale, step into plank. Again, engaging everything here. It's a full body workout. Keeping the gaze just in front of your hands, keep the neck long. And a nice straight line from the crown of the head, shining out through the heels. Heels reaching towards the back of the room. So our second version of a vinyasa here would be to exhale, tipping the weight forwards and lowering down in one straight line to the ground. Inhale, either lifting up into cobra or into upward facing dog. So legs lift off the ground. Exhale, rolling back over the toes into downward facing dog. So you can always stay with the previous version, or we can come through Chaturanga Dandasana and into upward facing dog, which I will demonstrate on the next vinyasa. Inhale, lift the left leg up to the sky, kick through the heel. Exhale, step that foot in between the hands. Option to drop the back knee, keep it lifted. Inhale, raise the gaze. Shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, step into forward fold. Hips lifting to the sky. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands into prayer at your heart center. We'll take a breath here before we move on. Inhale, raise your arms up to the sky, look to the thumbs. Exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift, straighten your spine. Exhale, plant your hands, step your right foot back, keep the knee lifted. Inhale, rise up into high lunge. We want that same stabilising action here as in the low lunge. So as if your right foot and your left foot were trying to move in towards each other, towards the centre, and the hips also pushing into the centre, creating a nice solid foundation. We'll inhale here, and with the exhale we'll straighten the front leg and reach forwards, coming down into a long pyramid. Option here to have 2 blocks if you don't quite reach the ground. Otherwise, taking hands to the ground. We'll inhale, bend into the front knee, rise up, high lunge. Finding a bit of a flow here. Exhale, straightening the front leg, reaching heart forwards as you come down to pyramid. Inhale, rise up, high lunge. If you find it hard to keep your balance as you come down, then keeping the knee bent until your hands are lower towards the ground, and then extending that left leg. Inhale, bending into the knee, rooting down, rising up. Exhale, extending that front leg, reaching forwards, squaring the hips in your pyramid pose. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, root to lift, high lunge. Exhale, extend the front leg, reach forwards, come down. We'll take a couple of breaths here. Then drawing that left hip back and rolling that right thigh inwards, finding internal rotation, pushing the right hip forwards. Inhale, bend into the front knee, rise up. Exhale, take the hands down to the mat, step back into plank. Inhale here. This time we'll come through full Chaturanga Dandasana and upward facing dog. So exhale, tilting forwards onto the tips of the toes, keeping the elbows in, lower down. Inhale, roll over onto the tops of the feet, upward facing dog. Exhale, lift the hips up and back, rolling over the toes, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg up to the sky. Exhale, step it forwards to the outside of the right hand. Coming into our lizard pose again. So option to keep that back knee lifted this time. And dropping down onto the forearms if that's available. Otherwise you can keep your back knee on the ground. Keeping the chest lifted. Inhale, coming up onto the hands. Shuffle the right foot back into the center. Exhale, step forwards into Uttanasana. And then take the feet about hip distance. And take a hold of the big toes with the peace fingers and the thumb. We'll inhale to halfway lift, straightening the spine. And exhale to fold, moving the elbows to the outsides. And keeping the shoulder blades moving down the back, so up towards the sky, away from the ears. And you can keep a micro bend in the knees here, or activate the quads to pull up on the kneecaps, so we're not locking out the knees here. One more breath. Exhale, release the bind of the toes, shuffle the feet back together. Inhale, root to rise. Arms come up to the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart center in prayer position. Other side. Inhale, rise the arms up. Look to the thumbs. Exhale, forward fold. Hips are lifting up to the sky as the upper body reaches down. Inhale, halfway lift. Either hands can be on the floor or on the shins. Exhale, plant the hands, step your left foot back, keep the knee lifted. Inhale, root down through the feet, rise up, high lunge. And again, just taking a moment to find that stabilizing, moving the right and the left feet towards each other. Subtle movements here. And then moving the inner thighs and the outer hips in towards the midline, creating a nice solid foundation. Inhale here. Exhale, extending the front leg, reaching forwards as you move down into your long pyramid. Inhale, bend the front knee, rise up. Square the hips. Exhale, reaching forwards. Remember, if the balance is difficult, then you can keep your knee bent until the last moment. Inhale, bend the front knee, rise up. Lift the chest, maybe even lifting the gaze to challenge your balance. Exhale, moving down. Squaring the hips here as well. Inhale, rise up. Exhale. This time we stay. Taking a few breaths here. Pulling the right hip back. Reaching the left hip forwards. And reaching the chest forwards also to create length in the front side of the body. Bend into the front knee. Inhale, rise up. High lunge. Exhale, take the hands down to the mat. And take the right foot back into plank. Take an inhale here. And then choosing your version of Vinyasa. Exhale, coming down. Inhale, finding your back bend, either cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, push the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, rise the left heel up to the sky. Exhale, step forwards to the outside of the left hand, coming into lizard. Again, option here to keep the back knee lifted. Maybe coming down onto the forearms. Maybe dropping down that back knee. Just feeling where you're at in this moment, on this day. Keeping the chest lifted. The neck long. Inhale, coming up onto the hands. Shuffle the left foot back inside of that left hand. Exhale, step into forward fold. And then taking your feet hip distance again. This time we'll take the hands underneath the feet so the palm and the sole of the foot come together. Back of the hand on the mat. Maybe even taking the toes all the way to the wrists. You can bend your knees as much as you need to allow for this. Inhale, halfway lift, straighten the spine. Exhale, fold. Elbows moving out to the sides. And the shoulder blades sliding down the back up towards the sky. And then gently starting to straighten the legs, lifting the hips, finding length in the hamstrings. Exhale, releasing the hands from underneath the feet, shuffling them back to the center. Inhale, rise up, gaze to the hands. Exhale, bring your prayer through heart center. We'll take a couple of breaths here before we move on to the last flow, the last standing flow. Inhale, rising the arms up towards the sky, look to the thumbs. Exhale, bow down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, straighten the spine, neck is long. Exhale, plant your hands, step both legs back into plank. We'll take an inhale here. And exhale, moving through your vinyasa, whichever version this may be. Meeting back in downward facing dog. Taking a breath here. Inhale, rise your right heel up to the sky. Exhale, step that foot in between the hands. Inhale, raise your arms up to the sky, high lunge. Exhale, reach forwards as that front leg extends. Come down into your pyramid. We'll take a couple of breaths here. So squaring the hips, finding a nice stretch in the outside of that right leg. Reaching the breastbone towards the front toe. Finding length in the front of the body as well as the back. With the exhale, you'll walk your hands over to the left, pivoting both feet to face the left side of the room, coming into your wide forward fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. Sorry you get to see my butt here. So maybe bringing the fingertips in line with the toes. If there's another version you'd like to take, maybe interlacing behind the back, then you can do so now. Shifting the weight into the balls of the feet. Bringing the heels and the hips into the same plane. And then whichever version you took, bringing the hands back down to the mat. And we'll exhale, bending into the left leg, coming down into a side squat. So you can shift that left foot out to the side a little, bending into that left leg and stretching the right toes up towards the sky, coming into a side squat. Doesn't matter if you can't come down so low. If you're up here, then that's fine too. And then moving over to the other side, bending into the right leg, lifting the left toes up towards the sky. Option to keep the hands on the mat or to bring them up into prayer position at your heart center. Or move between the two sides, bending into the left leg and then into the right. Moving with the breath. Next time you have your right knee bent, we'll take the hands down at the front of the mat, pivoting into a lunge, low lunge. And inhale, rise up into high lunge. Arms up towards the sky. Exhale, bring your hands into prayer position at your heart center. And then starting to shift the weight onto your front foot. Inhale, pick up the left leg, coming into warrior 3. Kicking out through the heel. Keeping the chest lifted. Back of the neck long. Just here for a few breaths. Pushing that right quad back to straighten the leg. Exhale, take the hands down to the mat, coming into your standing splits. So bringing the body in towards the right shin. Finding a nice hamstring stretch. Keep kicking out through the left heel, straightening the leg. Lifting a little higher. Exhale, step it back into a low lunge. Shuffle the right foot to the outside of the right hand. And drop down onto the back knee or keeping it lifted. Moving into our last lizard on this side. So you can play with a few different variations here. You can maybe bend into the back knee, lift up the heel and reach back with your right hand, taking a bind and twisting open to the right. Wherever you are, releasing back down to lizard. Inhale, coming up onto your hands. And then exhale, you're going to toe heel the right foot behind the left wrist and allow the right knee to drop down at the level of the right wrist. Coming into pigeon. So sinking down, the hips down to the ground. So option to keep that right shin more parallel to the front of the mat, or to bring the heel closer in towards the pubic bone. Or inhale, walking the hands in towards the body first, opening the chest. And then exhale, walking the hands forward. Maybe staying up on the forearms, or maybe making a little pillow with the hands. Resting your head on the pillow, or maybe even reaching forwards with the arms. Breathing deeply. Enjoying this nice stretch into the right glutes and piriformis. Inhale, coming up onto the hands, walking them in towards the body. Tuck the back toe under, lift the knee. Exhale, push up into three-legged dog. Exhale, shifting forwards into a three-legged plank. So aligning the wrists, the elbows and the shoulders. And then option to lower the leg and come through Vinyasa, or to come down through three-legged Vinyasa. Into Cobra, or up for the facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here before moving on to the other side. Inhale, lift the left leg up to the sky, kick out through the heel. Exhale, step the foot forwards in between the hands. Inhale, rise up, high lunge. Exhale, extend the front leg as you reach forwards, down into your pyramid. Taking a few breaths here. Reaching back with the left hip, forwards with the right. Creating that stable foundation with the legs. And then reaching out of the pelvis. Straightening the spine, lifting the chest. Taking the sternum towards the big toe of the left foot. Exhale, walk the hands over to the right, pivoting the feet to come parallel to the short side of the mat. Coming into your wide-legged forward fold. Again, you can take any option that you want to here. Maybe interlacing behind your back. Maybe taking hold of the big toes. Bringing the elbows out to the sides of the room. Lifting the hips up towards the sky to draw your upper body lower down. Lifting the chest, lengthening the front of the body as well as the back. And then exhale, releasing any version that you have and taking your hands to the ground. We'll take an inhale here. And exhale, bend into the right knee. So shift the right toes to face a little towards the back of the room. And then curl the left toes in towards the shin. Finding a nice hamstring stretch. An option to keep the hands on the ground or bringing the hands into prayer at your heart center. Shifting over onto the left leg, bending the left knee. Curling the right toes up. Moving through a few more of these with your own breath. Maybe challenging yourself to keep as low as possible. Next time you find yourself at the front of the mat with the left knee bent, we'll take the hands down to the mat, pivot to face the front of the room, coming into low lunge. Inhale, root to rise, into high lunge. Exhale, hands to prayer at your heart center. Start to shift the weight onto the front leg. Inhale, pick up the right leg. Warrior 3. Keep the chest lifted. Kick out through the right heel. And aiming to keep the hips square here. Parallel to the ground. Exhale, take your hands down to frame the front foot or slightly ahead, coming into standing splits. Moving the body towards the left leg. kicking out through the right heel. Maybe lifting the leg a little higher if you can. Exhale, step that right foot back. Shift the left foot to the outside of the left hand and settle down into your last lizard. So whichever option you took on the other side, you can take it on this side. If you took the twist, then take it on this side, bending into the right leg and reaching around with the left arm, taking hold of the foot and opening the left shoulder towards the sky. And wherever you are, releasing back down into that lizard. Inhale, coming up onto your hands. Exhale, toe heeling the left foot across to behind the right wrist and dropping the left knee down behind the left wrist, adjusting to your leg to wherever it wants to be. Heel can be closer to the groin if that's more comfortable. And just checking that your back leg is straight. Inhale, walking the hands in towards the body, opening the chest. Exhale, drape yourself over the front leg. Again, option to stay up on the forearms, or maybe make a pillow with your arms, or stretching the arms in front. Whichever feels good to you right now. And just allowing yourself complete release. Inhale, taking your hands to the ground, walking your hands in towards your body, tucking the back toes, lifting the knee. Exhale, send the left leg up and back into downward facing dog, three-legged down facing dog. Exhale, shifting into plank. And then either taking a three-legged vinyasa or lowering that leg and coming through your regular vinyasa of your choice. Meeting back in downward facing dog. Inhale, look to the hands, bend into the knees deeply. And at the end of the inhale, we'll jump forwards into Malasana, taking the feet wide. If you can't jump into it, then just finding your way there. And bringing your hands together at your heart center. Taking the elbows inside the knees. Allowing the toes to look out to the sides slightly. And if your heels are raised, then that's okay. You can always bring something underneath. Lengthening the tailbone down towards the ground and lifting up through the crown, lifting the breastbone. And reach forwards with your arms and use this reach as a counterbalance as you slowly sit onto your bum, extending the legs in front of you. I'll draw the right sole of the foot into the left inner thigh, taking the knee out to the side, flexing the left toes in towards the shin, engaging the quads. Inhale, raise the arm up to the sky. Exhale, reach forwards with your chest. Coming into Janushirasana on this side. And just for the moment, really aiming to keep as straight back as you can. Lifting the chest. Lengthening the back of the neck. Gaze is towards that front big toe, so you can either have hold of the calf, or the ankle, or the big toe, or the sides of the feet, wherever you can reach to. And just for this last couple of breaths, you can allow your spine to curl. Bring the forehead towards the shin. Inhale, rise up. Raise the arms towards the sky. Exhale, bring the arms down. Bring the left sole of the foot to meet the right sole of the foot, coming into butterfly. So taking a hold of the big toes with the peace fingers and thumbs, rooting down through the sit bones, rising up through the crown of the head, finding a nice long spine. Inhale here. Exhale, reach your chest forwards as you come down. Again, for these first few breaths, keeping the chest lifted, keeping the shoulder blades moving down the back, and just releasing the heads of the thigh bones, allowing this release to allow your knees to come down, not trying to jam the knees down. For the last few breaths, you can bring the elbows in front of the knees and allow your spine to curl. Allow the forehead to come towards the feet. Inhale, sit all the way back up. Exhale, extend the right leg out, taking the sole of the left foot to the right inner thigh, and pulling the right toes back towards the shin. Inhale, rise the arms up. Exhale, keeping that length in the spine and the front of the body, reaching out of the pelvis as you come down. Taking a hold of wherever you can reach to. Maybe shin, maybe ankle, maybe the foot or the toes. Using every inhale to lengthen the chest forwards. Every exhale to sink a little deeper. Gaze is towards that front big toe. And the shoulder blades are moving down the back, so your back muscles are active. And for the last few breaths, allowing the spine to curl. Bring the elbows out to the sides, allowing the forehead to drop down towards the shin. Inhale, come up, raise the arms up to the sky. Exhale, bring them down to the sides. Extend both legs out in front. Maybe give them a little shake from side to side. If you need to remove the flesh from your sitting bones, then you can do so. And curling both sets of toes in towards the shins. We'll come into Paschimottanasana, forward fold. Inhale, rise the arms up, lift the chest. As you exhale and reach forwards, taking the hands down to wherever you can reach to, lengthening the back of the neck, pulling the shoulders back and down. If you can reach the big toes or the sides of the feet. Every inhale, lengthening the chest towards the feet, pulling the coccyx back and pushing out through the heels. And then for the last few breaths, allow the spine to curl. Bring the forehead down towards the shins. Inhale, come up. Rise arms up. Exhale, take them down behind you, fingers facing in towards the body, and just lower yourself down onto the mat, onto your back. Take the soles of the feet to the ground, about hip distance. Palms facing down to the ground. We'll just take one bridge. So inhale, curl the tailbone up, lift the sacrum, lower back, middle back, and then shuffling the shoulders underneath if this is available to you and it feels good, and pushing into the feet, keeping the knees hip distance. So rolling the inner thighs down, squeezing the glutes, lifting the hips. We'll stay here for 3 deep breaths. Lifting the pelvic floor. On this last exhale, shuffling the shoulders out from underneath, letting go of the interlace if you have it, and then just allowing your spine to curl back down onto the ground. Tailbone last to touch down. Take the right knee into the chest, give it a hug, and extend the left leg long. Exhale, take the right knee over to the left, and extend your right arm out to the right, gaze can follow. Left arm resting on that right knee. Exhale, engage the abdominals, come back to center. Give that knee a squeeze one last time and release it down to the mat. Inhale, take the left knee in, give it a squeeze. Exhale, take it over to the right. Extend the left arm out to the left and gaze can follow. Right hand resting on the outside of the left knee. Allowing your body to melt into this spinal twist. Exhale, come back to center. Give that knee one more squeeze. Maybe taking the right knee in for a little squeeze as well. Taking the forehead up to knees. Giving yourself, your whole body, one tight squeeze. And release it down into Shavasana. Allowing your heels to be as wide as the mat. Toes rolling out to the sides. Backs of the hands on the mat. And just release all of your body, of your breath, of your mind. Giving yourself as much time as you need here. Thank you for sharing your energy and your practice with me. Take as long as you need. Namaste.